All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Warhammer Wednesday. So hey, all right, don't mind the room. All right, about to let those mic charge. I actually finally figured out how to use this stupid fine adapter. No, not adapter. What I forgot what you call this thing, like the little soundboard thing that I have a mic hooked up to. I was going to get up. Saw that back there. That's you can see my green screen. But we're just gonna get into some Warhammer stuff. But yeah. Okay. Forgot to something about that. That echo. So, I really don't know what to watch. I mean, I got a couple tabs. Uh, okay, that's pretty cool. What is that? Minds of Morai? Mora? Somebody built that? The Warhammer community is so. They built that by hand? That's so cool. A lot of time. Look, I would say the Warhammer community, y'all have some patience. Y'all are very patient people. Like painting the little figures, doing this. Warhammer community, oh, amazing. Like, look at this. Look at this. This is pretty. This is cool. All the detail in it. Look, I want to paint figurines and stuff. The hell? Okay. The Emperor. Finally finished. Legion ship. Okay. That's cool looking. I like that a lot. Oh, man. Okay, videos. Uh, you know. So I seen this. Should we watch this? Let's go ahead and watch this. Um, watch none of it. Okay.
Are we ready?
We're ready.
People of Armageddon.
Soldiers of the Imperial Guard. For decades, we have defended this world. Some of you were born here and know only war. Some of you have grown old upon these battlefields. Some of you were brought from off-world, shipped here to die.
I thank every one of you. But look at what's become of our world.
Graveyards
Damn.
between from horizon to horizon. Cities cloaked in ash and dust. All in
Industry in ruin. The next wave of greenskins will soon reach our world.
Oh my gosh.
in numbers the likes of which we've never seen.
So cool looking. Like this.
They come in
Like this. Look at it. It looks. What war would you say? Like World War II? Look, I will say definitely they need to make a Warhammer game that's similar, like the style of like Battlefield or something. That'd be so dope. You know, Workshop is that what the thing's called? You know, it's Warhammer, but like the whole what's the word I'm looking for? I'm pretty sure it's called Workshop. Workshop needs to team up with EA and like make like a Battlefield, Battlefront, make a new name up for it. I don't know, type of game. Well, of course you don't have to make a new name for it, but you know, they have writers and creative minds to make up a name. But that needs to be done. Even like, man, this looks so cool. I'm just imagining in my head this. I want to play it. I would definitely buy it. Like, no doubt. Like, oh man.
numbers the likes of which we've never seen. We're expected to die in duty, to hold the line.
We cannot.
There is no victory to be had here.
Is that like a World War One helmet? No, two.
To die
In the
One.
blood of a world that was lost
Terrible.
long ago. Flee, all of you.
flee. Make for the evacuation transports.
Get off world if you are able. Run for your...
Man, that's not good.
There will be no evacuation.
There will be no cowardice.
Hmm.
There will be no defeat. This is our city. This is our world. Soldiers of Armageddon!
Make ready.
Okay. The old man of turns. That's so cool. So that is this like a cinematic for like the figurine? Like it I I'm not into like the figurines and like into like that. So I'm trying to understand. Can y'all explain it to me? Like so it's like they have some figurines get like trailers that like release trailers like, hey, you can buy this now. I'm not sure. But I will say this is cool. This cinematic was fucking dope. I will say that. Like I man, I watched this and it's like, yeah, we definitely need like a large battle type field game for Warhammer. I think a lot of people will be down for it. A lot of people, even people who aren't really into Warhammer, I think they'll get into it. But yeah, this is dope. I like this a lot. Okay. That's an hour long. I want to watch that, but man, so long. This would be nice for me to watch. Oh, that's 5 years ago. I don't know if things have changed. Okay, wait, hold on. So I did see Dark Tide got a new update, Beyond the Hive. So this is the official trailer. We have to watch this. I will say figures do.
Horizon to horizon. Cities close.
I just want to see if you hear the audio. All right.
Intel retrieved from the ruins of Consorus Folly indicates that the heretics are scouring the Deadside rad zones outside the hive. Deadside remains a vast uncharted wilderness, crawling with heretics. They cannot be permitted to find what they seek. We must uncover the secrets of the sands.
Your servant, ma'am, ever and always.
Artillery barrage confirmed.
Oh. Okay. So that came out yesterday. Okay. So now I don't know if this is a free update or something, or we have to pay for it. I'll actually look it up and see what's going on with it. But um, yeah, we might actually have to hop on and play it today. I had no idea that it was coming out with a new update for the game. I know just a couple weeks ago, Tide got a new update too. So yeah, I'm down. Like 2 out of the 3 of my favorite games getting updates. I'm pretty sure um did what is it? Warhammer 40K I'm having a brain fart right now. Space Marines. Did they get a new update not too long ago? I'm definitely gonna have to play these games more, but I think I probably shouldn't do it, but I'm going to anyways. Uh Usually I pay rent on this check that's coming up, but I should be getting a extra like 250 from returning that mini PC back. Thinking about actually spending some of this check on getting a new CPU. I know I have this one right here, but I found a CPU and a motherboard that I can get. What was it, like 400? It's on Amazon. 400, which isn't bad. It's a way better CPU than my Intel, and better one than my AMD one right here. So yeah, okay, I can get the motherboard for like $100. Then the CPU is a AMD Horizon 7 uh 7800 X3D for 300 and like $85, which inexpensive, especially for me. But looking at that, it's gonna pay off. Then I can take this motherboard out. Then I will have I can start working on another PC, or like a streaming PC, because I already have. In that case, I will have 2 CPUs that I can choose from. I have a 3070 Ti. Then I'll have a motherboard for it. I actually have this. This is a 2 terabyte SSD I could put in it, and I have this. Right, it's only 250 gigs. I have this I can put in it. So the only 2 things I would really need, 3 things I would need, is a power supply. I'll need a power supply, a case, and some RAM. Which I don't know how much RAM you need for like this, for like streaming, for like a streaming PC, but motherboard only uses DDR4, so it shouldn't be too expensive. It's not DDR5. That was the struggle of trying to find maybe a little bit better CPU than the one I already have, because I don't know, everything like this recommends you, or everything just like DDR5. Do you know anything about uh RAM sticks now? Don't even think about, if unless you're rich, which I'm not. I don't have a lot of money. I'm not getting DDR5. I can't do that. that's too much money. That's like 6, 7, up to $1,000 for like 16 gigs, 32 gigs. I'm not doing that, all right? Fuck that. I can't wait. Fuck AI. Can't wait to. I don't know. Um. So what else? Let me see something. What if I uh here- what about this year? I kind of want to see a 40K. Any okay. So that's 2 years ago. So the only thing I'm seeing, I see this how to play Warhammer 40K edition about minutes. That was 2 years ago. What's a good video? This one almost has 1 million views, but that was like 5 years ago. This was 2 years ago. Let's watch this. Teach us how to play Warhammer.
Right, welcome to this How to Play Warhammer 40,000. This is a very fast format video if you want to learn the rules quickly, and a very, very brief introduction of how to play the game. This is a condensed version.
Okay.
Fast.
So this is 2 years ago. The new Warhammer 40K starter box. Surprisingly good? Question mark. Surprisingly good? Question mark. Let's see. They like fun, entertaining people.
Every edition, Games Workshop releases starter boxes to try to get new players into the hobby. This time, they've got 3, and they've sent us a review copy of the Ultimate Starter Box, and it just might be the best starter they've ever released.
I'm going to take a look at what you get in the box.
And I'm going to be comparing all the new starter boxes, evaluating their price, and working out which box gives you the most bang for your buck.
And what is the out-of-box play experience? And how well does this introduce beginners to the hobby?
So join us as we...
Okay, this is good. This is good. This is what we want to see because, you know, we're beginners, we're starters, and if I do get a starter box, I want to know which one to get. Okay, so this is excellent. And he's gonna be like, this is. I don't know if they've came out with more since then. Maybe not. You let me know. I have no clue. But these are the 3 we're looking at today. The ones they're gonna show us.
guide you through this new range and hopefully help you decide if any of these boxes are the right fit for you.
It's tabletop time!
So I'm going to break down all these new products, starting with the smallest. The first new box is called the Introductory Set, and this box is priced at £40, 65 US dollars, or
65, that's not bad.
$85 dues. This is very peculiar, as it's one of the first products in a very long time where the direct exchange rate makes it a lot cheaper in Australia than America. This box contains 5 Infernus Marines, 10 Tyrannid Gaunts, a Ripper Swarm, 5 paints, the notoriously average Citadel starter brush, some clippers, a ruler, dice, gaming mat, and companion booklet. This product is interesting in that it combines basic hobby features with basic game features in a way that previous starter sets have not, making it ideal for brand new players and perhaps younger people who may be looking to pick up the hobby for the first time and get a little bit of a try of everything. I actually think that it would make a really good present for a teen who has expressed a lot of interest in trying out the Warhammer hobby. However, the rather small range of models and paints makes it a fairly shallow exploration of both the painting and gaming. That means it probably wouldn't be suitable for just about anybody else. A significant bump up in price from the introductory set is the starter set. Priced at £65, 110 US dollars, or $150 dues. That's a
110. I mean, I guess that's not bad. That's not bad at all. But I'm like looking at, I hate being a brokey. Okay, it's like, hurt me. Y'all, you all need to subscribe, like the video, and share it, okay? So I can afford some of this stuff. Like, I do want to get into Warhammer at some point, but it's gonna be a while. My job doesn't pay that much.
Australian dollars. It contains the same minis as the first box, adding 5 Terminators, a Terminator Captain, 10 more Gaunts, 3 Von Ryan's Leapers, a Winged Tyrannid Prime, and a Psychophage. All the hobby materials are gone, but there are some gameplay reference cards. In terms of value for money, if we can guess based on the current retail price of kits, this box will offer around 70% added value. Overall, I feel that this box is a bit of a miss. I'd be curious to know what you think. The models inside are not comprehensive enough to be a fighting force in their own right. There are no hobby tools, and there's no rulebook, which makes it a kind of weak starter set for new players. As well as that, a lot of the models in here, in terms of characters, are single models you may not want duplicated across your army. However, if you're really looking to expand your Leviathan armies and just add some models to the pile, I do think this is a really good value box just for minis. While more expensive again at £125, 199 US dollars, or 300 Australian dollars, the box we got sent today, the ultimate
those prices,
dollars, or 300 Australian dollars.
$200. Let's see what's in it. Okay, let's see what's in it. I don't really understand what's in it, but y'all have to let me know. Like, is this a good price? $200. Okay.
The box we got sent today, the ultimate box, to me feels like a more focused product because the additions in this box are critical. We have only got 6 more minis with a Terminator Librarian and 5 Barb Gaunts over that starter set, but we're talking almost double the price. So what do we get? Well, we get a really rather nice selection of a new terrain kit in the form of the Imperial Bunker, and we also get this, a small format core rulebook that for me is actually a very desirable item because it's far easier to use on the gaming table than a massive tome with 200 pages of lore and art. Okay. While it's really cool, I don't need to take to every game. Currently, this box is the only place you'll be able to get this easy reference play version of the core rules. Crucially, those mini editions also expanded both forces to a fully legal and playable combat patrol, which means each side of the box is a fully self self-contained force that you can play in a game system supported by Games Workshop. Overall, in terms of minis value, the box does offer around 65% added value, with a lot of that being attributed to terrain and this rulebook. So, compared to past boxes, it's clear one thing has changed: the price. Everybody knows Games Workshop prices have risen out of sync with inflation, and things are getting more expensive generally. However, when we compare it against the rest of the Games Workshop products in isolation, these products are quite good value. My appraisal is overall, I think Games Workshop have actually done a really good job this edition. I think the introductory set is probably one of the best, if not the best, new player boxes Games Workshop have ever made. And that really comes down to the mix of combining enough hobby materials and minis to let someone actually try all aspects of the hobby in one place. The Ultimate Box, on the other hand, with its inclusion of robust game boards, terrain, and fully playable combat patrols, feels like the superior product. It has that exclusive small format rulebook and a price that's about 30% cheaper than Leviathan was. I even rate it potentially as a better box than Leviathan for new players getting into the game, as Leviathan's price point was starting to get a little too high for most people who aren't already very invested. It seems like a great buy for two players who know what they want and want to split the game and get started playing Warhammer. And everyone has a balanced force that's supported and capable of playing full games with each other without the addition of any other miniatures.
So you might have seen various breakdowns and Warhammer community articles on these boxes, but we've actually got it. So it's about time we take a look inside. So let's ask Murray the metaphorical question: what's in the box today?
What's in the box?
What's in the box?
Simple contents that's in there. We've got starter cards that you can just refer to, what you want to play the game, handbook for assembling it, some lore, basic rules, some chapters. We've got the core rulebook. This is an important one. This is just the full rules, stratagems, maps, missions. You can get it free online as well. That's worth noting. But if you want a nice little actual physical copy of the books, that'll be $110. On to the actual meat of everything. In this box we have 5 Space Marine Terminators, 5 Infernus Marines, 1 Terminator Librarian, 20 Tyranid Termagants, 3 Von Ryan's Leapers, 5
Oh my gosh.
Gaunts.
That's how they come? I don't know why. I don't know what I was thinking. Okay.
2/3 of a legal Ripper Swarm, 1 Psychophage, 1 Tyranid Prime and Space Marine Terminator Captain sharing a sprue. They homies. We've got a full 4 sprues of terrain. That's actually more than I thought there would be. So we've got a bunker and some defensive barricades. On top of that, you're going to get bases, of course, some measuring tapes, going away from the plastic lengths that were basically just whips and weapons of mass destruction that were absolutely terrifying when you see people unbox them for the first time. But you also get a gaming mat. It's actually it's decently thick card. It's not just paper or something. That's actually more substantial than I thought it would be. Let's do a quick unwrap of this, shall we?
Wait, is that... Oh, I guess he's going to show me. I was going to ask, like, is that one big board?
That went pretty well, I think. That looked nice. So, oh, we've got a dead little Tyranid. Oh, it's awful. Oh, and another hand. Oh. What, 1/2?
Oh, okay. Okay.
Nice. So we've got the full official-sized game board that you can just pull out and play upon. You don't need to work out on, your local coffee table, how big an area you need to set up. You've got this pre-established. Boom, it's there.
That is nice.
But something I just noticed putting this out, it's double-sided. Oh, that's cool. We've got a rocky terrain as well, plus more dead Tyranids. I think that's a bit biased, but whatever. So you've got twice the value with your gaming board, you've got a lot of miniatures, and you got some terrain into the mix, as well as all the context you need. Rule books, data cards, all the dice and measuring tapes as well. So that's what's in the box.
So you might have noticed I'm filming in a slightly different setup. This is actually our roleplay setup, where myself and Murray and Jazza and Jen all roleplay over on Tabletop Time Roleplay. And we've actually just started a brand new campaign that we're really excited about, and episode 1 is live right now.
It's called Call to Quest, and think Stranger Things meets D&D.
We're all playing 2 characters each, teenagers entering their freshman year of high school, as they also explore high fantasy characters reminiscent of the cartoons from the 80s in a D&D setting. It's a lot of fun, it's a lighthearted romp, and we're really excited to share it with you.
All of our live sessions have amazing sound designs, and it's also a podcast too, so if you want to listen on the go, you can. It also features custom art done by our in-house artist, Alicia.
Not only that, it's the first time we're showing off us using Gateway Roleplay, which is a roleplay system we're also developing for use on the channel and for everyone else that's a prototype right now. So if you want to find out more about that, go check that out on Tabletop Time Roleplay as well.
The first episode of Call to Quest is now live, so you can go check it out, and links are down in the description below.
This live play is something that's really near to our heart. We love telling these stories, and we really just love sharing them with people. So it would mean a lot if you're into live plays, if you could go check out Tabletop Time Roleplay and try out the first episode of A Call to Quest. Thanks, let's get back to the Warhammer box.
Now, when it comes to playing 40k games, I may not be the most experienced. I'm really interested in painting and the lore, but 10th edition has got me really excited because they've released Combat Patrol. Combat Patrol boxes are a nice little bite-sized chunk of an army that allow you to play one another. There are now data cards available which allow you to look at your units' rules at a glance. I should also mention that the Combat Patrol rules are actually free.
So Combat Patrol. Oh, okay. So 18 miniatures, I guess. 17, 39 miniatures, and 15. Yeah. Okay. Pretty cool.
Look at your unit's rules at a glance. I should also mention that the Combat Patrol rules are actually free for now if you want to go check them out. As Dave mentioned before, this Ultimate Starter set actually contains 2 Combat Patrols, one for Space Marines and one for Tyranids. I recently played my first game of Combat Patrol and I used my Sisters of Battle. So it was really nice to be able to pick up a box that...
Alright, y'all have to help me out with this. Now I'm like confused. Okay, so Combat Patrol is different, like a different game. No, it's still a Warhammer 40k game, but it's like a sub genre of a game. You don't play it the same as like regular 40k. I don't know what the fuck. I'm confused. This is confusing me. Combat Patrol.
Just had everything I needed to play the game. But before, I would have had to look at really complicated army lists and not being sure on what I could or couldn't build as a new player. Plus, the Combat Patrol also gives you a variety of models to paint, and you're not painting the same troops over and over again, and I really appreciate that. And that's why I think the value in this box is actually amazing. You get 2 Combat Patrols so you can verse each other, split it with a friend, or you can even take one of the armies and verse someone else who has a different army. If you're trying to paint a small force, don't get me wrong, it can be very overwhelming for a new painter. But starting off with what this box offers will absolutely help you expand your army. Using Combat Patrol as a starting point means that there's less rules to follow along with, making it a fantastic way to learn the basics of the game. And once you've got that all down, you can even expand your force into something bigger, or maybe even try a different one. Spooky. So why don't we show you what your ultimate box could look like with some fancy reveals.
Okay, so that's it. So I'm letting y'all know now, okay? When I get into this, okay, first of all, y'all have to help me to recommend what would be the best option for me. I'll be new in it, but I will say, y'all think I'm painting this by myself? Y'all fucking wrong, okay? Y'all come with me, so I'm doing live. If y'all have sets to paint, come paint it with me. We can do it together. But I'm not doing it by myself, okay? I don't have that much patience. I'm gonna need someone to talk to, okay? And it's gonna be you. Or it could be you, or it could be you. It doesn't matter. I'm not doing it by myself, okay? We can have this paint-a-thon on stream where we just paint Warhammer stuff. Then at some point, maybe we can play together, some way. I don't know if I have any places around here to play, but dude, you never know. I don't know. We'll find a way, okay? We'll find a way. But that was good. I still haven't learned how to play the game. I'm thinking how to play. That's an hour and 13 minutes. Okay, hold on. Okay, let's watch this. This is only like 50 minutes. Okay. Fuck it. If we have time, Let's go ahead and watch this. YouTube, probably gonna have to break this up in 2 parts. I don't want the videos to be too long, but here we go, I guess.
...10th edition. I'm Stephen Box from Vanguard Tactics, and I'm going to teach you how to play.
Okay. Teach me how to play.
Warhammer 40,000 is a tabletop strategy game that allows you to wield your favorite armies, whether you are defending humanity, one of the alien races, or maybe even a slave to darkness. In a game of Warhammer 40,000, there are 5 battle rounds. And in one battle round, it will consist of a player turn for each of the 2 players. In those turns, those players will get the opportunity to score as many points as they possibly can on the primary and secondary objectives, using their force to move around the table and hopefully destroy some of their opponent's models. A game of Warhammer 40,000 consists of 5 battle rounds, and a battle round will consist of a turn for each of the 2 players. In those turns, those players will have the opportunity to score as many mission objectives as they possibly can, and sometimes that does mean destroying their opponent's units. In a player turn, it will consist of 5 phases. The first phase being the command phase, where they can use their army abilities, they can score points, and also check for morale. Then we'll move on to the movement phase, which is where the miniatures will move around the table, trying to capture different objectives, or set themselves up for a fantastic firing position. The next part is now the shooting phase. Players will utilize all the weapons in their army to try and destroy as much as they possibly can from range. Then we're into the charge phase, and this is an element where players will use their models, which are fantastic in combat, to get them into the fight, to allow them to then fight in the fight phase. Once all players have completed their 5 phases, then we'll move on to the other player. To muster your army in Warhammer 40,000, you first of all need to pick a faction. For example, we've got the space.
Okay, it's clicking for me. I'm starting to understand. So 5 phases. Each phase contains like some different objective. Not objective. I don't know. Like one phase you get your positioning, or you move one phase. Then one phase is like range combat. Then the next phase is close range combat. So I'm starting to get it a little, but how it's a lot. It's a lot. I still don't know. So I'm gonna keep watching.
Space Marines. They're going to get an army rule for being a Space Marine, which is called Oath of Moment. They're then going to be put into a detachment. This detachment will unlock certain extra abilities. It will also give you some enhancements and some stratagems to use across the course of the game. The next thing you need to do is pick one of the characters in the book to be your warlord. This is the character that's going to lead your army into battle. Once you've picked your character to lead your army, the next thing you're going to need to do is pick all the other units that you want to include in your army. Each unit has a points associated to it depending on how powerful it is, and you then need to bring that up to a certain total that you've agreed with your opponent to keep the game fair and balanced. For the Space Marine force today, we've got the character in Warlord, the librarian in Terminator armor. He has been signed to a unit, the Terminators. He'll give them some extra abilities by being the leader of that squad. We've also got 5 Infernus Marines, we've got 5 Stern Guard veterans, and then we've got the Ballistus Dreadnought that'll be offering some ranged firepower from distance. And then for the Tyranid force, the alien race, the invaders, the character that's leading the force is the Tyranid Prime. We've then also got 20 Termagants, we've got 3 Von Ryan's Leapers, we've got 5 barbed gaunts, we've got the massive and terrifying Screamer Killer. Once you've mustered your forces, you then need to determine a mission. And in order to do so, you're going to pick a series of cards to tell you exactly how you're going to set up the battlefield.
Okay, I'm sorry that I'm not talking as much. I'm trying to pay attention. Trying to learn a little here. I got the beginning now. I think I'm getting it.
You're going
God, we're
to
only
pick a
30
series
minutes
of
in.
cards to tell you exactly how you're going to set up the battlefield, and then also any specific mission rules on how you can score those ever important mission points. The mission parameters for today. Players will be using the hammer and anvil deployment. We're then going to have one objective straight in the middle of the table, and we're going to be trying to take and hold the center objective. Players will score 5 victory points if they can hold that center objective when it comes to their command phase. So we know the mission. You're going to need a table, you're going to need some terrain, you're going to need 2 forces, and then you're going to need some dice and a tape measure. You're also going to need 2 players. Today we've got Michael, who's going to be playing the Tyranids, and we've got Jordan, that's going to be taking on the Space Marines. So for deployment, first of all, players need to roll a dice each, and we're going to see who is going to deploy first. This is called the deployment roll-off.
Okay.
So Jordan's won the roll, and Jordan can now decide if he places the first unit or he's going to force Michael to deploy that first unit. Then players going to alternate deploying a unit each until all the units are on the table. So in all of Jordan's cunning, he's decided to make Michael deploy the first unit. Now Michael needs to deploy one of his units up to 11 inches onto this table. That's basically a third of this battle map that we're playing on. Michael's need to deploy his models anywhere in that area, but they do need to be in unit coherency. Now this basically means keeping all your units nice and close and not getting them too far from each other. So unit coherency is 2 inches. So that means you need one of your models to be within 2 inches of another model from its same unit. Unless that unit goes beyond 7 or more models, in which point you need a model within 2 inches of 2 friendly models. Now Michael has a very special rule on his leapers. They have the infiltrate. Now this is a universal special rule. Universal special rules are a common language for these rules that are going to appear multiple times throughout all the different indexes and armies in the game. So the infiltrate one allows you to set up your unit over 9 inches away from your opponent's deployment zone and their models. But this does mean those units can be getting very close to the enemy turn 1. Jordan has a very special rule on his Terminators. They have a universal special rule called Deep Strike. Now Deep Strike allows them to start up in the atmosphere and then deep strike down onto the tabletop in a later turn, allowing him to really surprise Michael with their deployment. So now both armies are either fully deployed on the tabletop, they're either infiltrating, or they might be in deep strike. Players now need to roll off once more, and the winner of this roll off has to go first. There's no choice involved. You absolutely have to go first if you win this roll. So let's see who's going to be taking the first turn. So Michael's won the roll off, so that means it's going to be a Tyranid turn 1 in the first battle round of the game. The first phase of the game is the command phase, and both players will receive 1 command point each. These can be spent later on for things like a command point reroll or other really cool stratagems that are either in the core rules of the game or found in their army detachments. We're going to be using just the core stratagems in today's game. Once you've done your CP, you'll then need to use any command abilities that you have. Now in these rules that we're not using any of those command abilities just to make this a little bit more streamlined, but players in this phase will also check for any battle shock, and there won't be any because the armies are completely fully functioning at this time, and also they'll score any points, but we only score points from turn 2 onwards. So we're going to move straight on to Michael's first movement phase. Michael's going to first of all move the Leapers. Now they've got a movement value of 10 inches, and you'll see this on your data sheet. He doesn't quite have enough movement to go up and over the terrain, so he's just going to move around it. And Michael's going to move from the front of the base to the front of the base. This is classified as a normal move and will later allow him to charge or shoot later on in the game. Next up, Michael's going to advance.
I gotta have a tape measure? Oh, I mean, that's not bad. I can see that. But it doesn't seem that hard, to be honest. But I know it's probably a lot more stuff because there are guidebooks and stuff, like books you have to look at for the rules and how to play and stuff. So I'm guessing this is like the most basic version of the tabletop game. That's what I'm guessing. I don't fucking know. I'm just guessing.
the Termagants. Now, and making an advanced move means you roll a d6 and add that result to your normal movement characteristic. Their normal characteristic is 6, again found on the data sheet. Michael's rolled a 1, which allows him to move 1 extra inch closer to that objective.
So 7.
Advancing would normally stop him from shooting unless he's got any particular rules that allow him to still shoot whilst making this advance or run move. Next up, Michael is going to move his Screamer Killer. Now he's only going to move a normal move, which is 10 inches towards the middle of the objective, and this will allow Michael to shoot the Screamer Killer later on in the game. Next up is the Tyrannid Prime. Now the Tyrannid Prime is currently on the piece of terrain, and in order to get down from there, he can use the fly keyword, and when doing so, you measure diagonally towards the place where you want to end. And his base move is 12 inches. If Michael didn't have the fly keyword, what you'd have to do is measure vertically down and then across. Next up, Michael is going to make a normal move with the Barbed Gaunts. Now what he's going to do is set himself up within range.
See, that's what I mean. See, if he didn't have the, what he said, fly key, I don't know what, he couldn't have just like go at a slant like that. He would have to go down, then measure that way. See, I'm getting it. I just need to remember the words. I guarantee you all this is in the book. Let me know if I'm wrong or if I'm just dumb, but this, you know, some of it seems simple. This seems simple.
Going to make a normal move with the Barbed Gaunts. Now what he's going to do is set himself up within range of 24 inches, because that is the range of their gun, so that he can not only shoot this turn, but maybe even get some benefits next turn. To kick off the shooting phase, you first of all need to pick one of your units that is actually eligible to shoot. Now Michael's chosen the Termagants. Now the Termagants have the Assault special rule on their weapon, which allows them to advance and still shoot later on in that turn. So Michael, with this unit of Termagants, needs to first of all pick a unit that is within range of its weapons. And the range of its weapons is 18 inches. As we've determined, the Stern Guard veterans are within 18 inches of some of those models, so some of those models will be able to fire against the Stern Guard veterans. He then needs to decide who has visibility, because you can only shoot what you can see. Now we've got 5 models here that can see, but the others are too far behind the terrain, and those walls will be blocking their visibility. So that means Michael has 5 of its Termagants that can make attacks. So to make an attack, what you need to do is roll 1 dice for each of the attack's characteristics on your weapon. Now the Flesh Borers have 1 attack each. Michael's got 5 models, so that's going to be 5 dice that Michael can roll all together in one go, just to save a little bit of time. We call this fast rolling. So Michael first of all needs to roll to hit, and he needs to check what he needs on his ballistic skill. It's a 4+. So as you can see here, we've got 3 that have been successful because it's a 4 or more, and the other 2 are going to fail. So now Michael's hit with 3, we then need to see if they actually can hurt the Space Marines. So you need to check the strength of the weapon, which in this case is 5, versus the toughness of the target, in which point is 4. And you'll see this on the data sheet of the Space Marines. So if your strength is equal to the toughness of a unit, you would need 4s. If your strength is greater than the target's toughness, which it is in this case, you would need 3s, being slightly easier because you're stronger than they are tough.
Yeah.
If, however, you are double the strength of their toughness, then you would only need 2s. So as you can see here, we've got 2 successful wounds and 1 which has failed. Now 2 have successfully wounded those Stern Guard veterans. Jordan has a chance to hopefully save them. So what Jordan needs to do is check the saving throw, and this is how good the armor value is. And as you can see, it's a 3+ on the data sheet. If Jordan rolls any 3s, he will negate those wounds. And as you can see, Jordan has shrugged off both of those with rolling a 4 and a 5.
Nice. Okay.
Saving value, which means they're successful and no Stern Guard will be dying from this shooting attack. So we're now going to go with the Barbed Gaunts. They have a 24-inch range. We've determined the visibility, and you need to look for true line of sight. So can your models actually see your opponent's models? So Michael's determined that 3 of the Barbed Gaunts are able to shoot the Stern Guard veterans, and then the other 2 that can't see can shoot somewhere else. This is called split firing, and he's going to put those shots into the Dreadnought. So Michael has a weapon here that is a D6 shot weapon. So that means it's not a fixed number of shots, it's actually random. So what Michael needs to do is roll 1d6 for each of the models that's going to fire, and that's going to determine how many shots this unit gets. Michael's rolled 2 6s and a 2, so that's 14 total shots. But this unit has a universal special rule called Blast. Now when your unit has Blast, you're going to add 1 shot per 5 models in the enemy unit. So we've got a unit of 5, so each of these barbed gaunts will shoot 1 more shot each. So that now is going to be a total of 17 shots. 14 plus 3, 17, and now we're going to need to roll to see who can hit. These barbed gaunts, they hit on 4s, so we're going to remove all of the fails. Now the successes will be taken through to the wound roll again, and the strength of this attack is 5, so once more needs 3s to wound the target. Now there is 0 armor penetration on these saves, which means we don't need to modify Jordan's armor saving throw in any way whatsoever, so he's just going to get his base save of a 3+. And because it has 0 AP, he's also not going to get any benefits of the cover that he stood on. Jordan's failed 3, and he's passed 3. Now each one of these has 1 damage. One of these damage points will go through and take off 1 wound off one of the models that Jordan has. So the Sternguard veterans have 2 wounds each, which means it would require 2 of these dice to go through to inflict 2 damage on that model to remove it, and then the other damage spills over, because it's a single damage attack, onto the model next to it. Jordan can then allocate any of these wounds to the models that he has. He chooses who the wounds go on. He also chooses which models are removed. So now the models are removed, and will then allocate any more shooting the unit has to onto the Dreadnought. So now we need to resolve the other 2 barbed gaunts that couldn't shoot with the Sternguard veterans. They're shooting the Dreadnought, so they need to determine how many shots they're going to get. Michael's rolled a 4 and a 1, so that's 5 total shots. And because he's fighting against a model with just 1 model, he's not going to get that blast benefit. So he needs to roll to hit on 4s. The 2 that have been successful now need to wound. Now Michael's strength 5, but the toughness of this Dreadnought is toughness 10. Now because the toughness of the vehicle is double Michael's strength, that's going to require 6s to be rolled to wound here, which is incredibly unlikely. But Michael actually has pulled something miraculously out the bag here and actually rolled 2 6s. So they are actually 2 successful wounds.
What? Oh my gosh, that is wild. He was just talking about this is incredibly unlikely, and he just does it. Oh man, yeah, I'm gonna be dog shit at this game with my luck. I'm just anyone playing against me is gonna probably be a guaranteed win most of the time because my luck is ass.
And now Jordan needs to try and make a save of a 2+ on this Dreadnought in order to keep the Dreadnought from being unharmed. I don't know how you've just done that. So now Jordan needs to roll those saves to see if he can keep the Dreadnought from being harmed, and he's completely fine with 2+ saves. Now on the data sheet of the barbed gaunts, they have a really cool special ability. Now most units in the game do have their own unique rule. Theirs is called Disruption Bombardment, and they can pick an infantry unit that they shot at, and then in the next turn, so Jordan's next movement phase, they'll suffer a -2 to their movement characteristics, really slowing down that unit of those Sternguard veterans. The next unit Michael fired was the Screamer Killer. However, due to the toughness of the Dreadnought, he was unable to hit and wound successfully. But it does have a special rule which allows Michael to then pick that unit to take a battle shock check. Now this battle shock check may, if failed, then have negative consequences on Jordan's model. We won't be able to use any stratagems on it. Its OC, or its objective control, will go to 0, meaning it won't be any good at holding objectives whatsoever, and if it makes a fallback move, we'll have to take a test to see if it basically dies, explodes, or takes wounds. So now Jordan needs to roll above his leadership characteristic. He needs to roll this on 2 dice, and he needs to equal or exceed that value. And for the Dreadnought, it's a 6+. So that means Jordan needs to roll 2 dice, get a 6, equal or more. Jordan now needs to roll those 2 dice to see if he can exceed his leadership. However, the rule on the data sheet also modifies the dice by 1. So now this result of a 4 is removed by 1 down to a 3. That's under the 6 required, so therefore this is a failed test. This unit is now battle shocked, and its OC will be 0, and we won't be able to use any stratagems on the Dreadnought until the start of Jordan's next command phase. So once you've concluded the shooting phase, it's time for the charge phase.
Okay.
Now in order to declare a charge, you need to be eligible. First of all, to be eligible, you need to be not in engagement range, which basically means not already in combat. The next thing is that you didn't advance in your movement phase, unless you've got a special rule that allows you to do so. And then the third thing is to make sure you've got a unit you can actually declare a charge against, and in order to do that, you need one unit of yours within 12 inches of one or more enemy units. So the Leapers are within 6 inches of this unit of Infernus Marines. Now Michael, in order to make a successful charge here, needs to roll 2 dice and needs to equal the distance required. And the distance required is 5, because you need to end with an engagement range, and that is 1 inch. So that 5 plus 1 is that 6 inches difference between the 2 units. Michael's rolled a 9, that completes his charge. Now when Michael makes a charge move, if possible, needs to put his models in base-to-base contact with one of Jordan's models. So Michael's now going to move those models 9 inches towards the closest model possible and get them in base-to-base contact. Now we've concluded the charge move, only one model was able to make it in base-to-base contact, but the others still need to remain in coherency, which is 2 inches of a friendly model, but also now with an engagement range of 1 inch within one of Jordan's models, so that they can actually fight in the fight phase. So now we're going to move on to the fight phase, and we're going to see what these Leapers can do in combat. So we're now into the combat phase because there was no other charges Michael could make. So we're going to look at the combat profile on the data sheet of the Leapers. They get 6 attacks per model. So Michael now needs to roll these 6 attacks just like we did in the shooting phase once more. So he needs to hit on 3s. We need to remove any fails, which are all the 1s and the 2s, because they are under the 3 required. Now Michael's strength is strength 5, Jordan's toughness is toughness 4, so that means Michael's going to need 3s in order to be successful. So again, removing any 1s and 2s from the pile. The armor penetration on these Leapers is AP 1, which means we need to roll those 3+ saves, and then we're going to modify the dice. So any 4s become 3s, which also then pass, but the 3 now becomes a 2, which now fails. So 3 have been unsuccessful, they failed, and these are 1 damage each. So now, like in the shooting phase, we need to allocate one of those points of damage to one of the wounds on those models. They've got 2 wounds each, so we're going to lose 1 model, and 1 model's going to take 1 wound. Now Michael's concluded his attacks, it's now time for Jordan to strike.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie. I could actually watch a lot of it. You know, actually, once I get to learn it more and, you know, recognize what to do, what not to do, and all that good stuff, blah, 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 I could actually watch this. I don't know. I find this kind of stuff fun. It's really about numbers, really. And being dyslexic, you know, I don't have dyslexia on numbers. I'm very good at numbers, math and stuff. You know, algebra, calculus, that kind of stuff. I'm actually good. Well, I've been out of school for about 16 years. Oh my God. I'm old. I'm monk. Oh, been a while, but I can still catch it like that. Trust me.
1 model's going to take 1 wound. Now Michael's concluded his attacks, it's now time for Jordan to strike back. Now Jordan has the opportunity, like everybody does in the fight phase, to do something called a pile-in move. Now this allows you to move one of your or more models within 3 inches to get as close as possible to the closest enemy model. And if doing so, you have to end in base-to-base contact. So Jordan's just going to move that model now to make sure they can all fight and all attack. So Jordan can come through the wall and get within base-to-base contact with that Leaper. Now these 4 remaining models can all fight because they're all in engagement range. Now Jordan gets to hit back, they've all piled in, they get 3 attacks per model, so 12 dice. They need 3s in order to hit into combat, removing all of the 1s and 2s that are going to fail. Now, the toughness of these Leapers is toughness 5, but Jordan is only strength 4, so that means he's going to need a 5 or more in order to be successful. 2 have been successful, and the others have failed. So now this has got 0 AP, so it's just on Michael's armor save in order to be successful. The Leapers have a 4-up save, The 1 and the 2 have both failed, and these models do have 3 wounds each. So now one of these points of damage, which is 2, needs to be allocated to one of those models, but it's not going to mean any of those leapers are destroyed in this phase. So that concludes the combat phase. There's no other combats to fight with. So to kick off Jordan's turn 1, both players will receive 1 command point in the clan phase, giving both players 2 command points total. We then need to check for any battle shock. Now, any units already battle shocked at this point becomes unbattle shocked, like the Dreadnought had earlier, and then we now need to check for any units that are under half strength. To determine half strength, you need to look at the starting amount of wounds a model has, so for example the Dreadnought, and if it goes below half its starting wounds, it's under half strength, or its starting unit size. So if a unit is 10, as soon as it gets to that 4 mark, it is under half strength and then requires a battle shock for each of those units that are in that category. Once we've done that, which there are none of at present, we then move on to scoring. And in turn 1, there's no points scored, so we go straight onto the movement phase. Jordan's first of all going to make a fallback move. Now, to make a fallback move, he's basically running out of combat his normal movement characteristic. And he's going to move 6 inches, because that's what it says on his data sheet. Now, this means he cannot advance during a fallback move and must end outside of an engagement range, which is that 1 inch of those leapers that he was in combat with before. The Dreadnought is going to decide to remain stationary. This is another type of move that you can get, and also there's sometimes, if you've got the heavy keyword on your weapons, will give you some type of ability or benefit for remaining stationary. But as it doesn't need to move, it's got range to the entire battlefield, it can stay exactly where it is. The next unit that needs to move is the Stern Guard Veterans. Now they, remember, have got -2 on their data characteristic, and they just want to get within 12 inches of those leapers so that they can shoot them with their rapid fire combi weapons. Now you might be wondering where the Terminators and when they're going to show up. Deep Strike or Reserves only allows you to come onto the tabletop from turn 2 onwards. So between turn 2 and turn 3 is when all those Deep Strikes need to come in. It's still turn 1, so no Terminators as of yet. So we're now going to move on to the shooting phase. To kick off the shooting phase, we're going to start with the Stern Guard Veterans. They've got a special rule on their combi weapon which says rapid fire. If you have this rule, if you get within half your total range, then if you are able to do so, you gain additional amount of shots based on what it says next to rapid fire. So for example, in this case, it says rapid fire 1. That means Jordan will get 1 shot extra per model if he gets within half range of 24. So if he's within 12, which he is, he'll get an additional shot. So that means Jordan's going to get 8 shots in total for the 4 models here. Now, Jordan needs to roll 5s to hit, and the reason why it's 5s is because any 4s that would normally hit are actually modified down by 1, and that's modified down by 1 because Michael has the Stealth Universal Special Rule. And anytime you see this, it just means you're going to be a little bit harder to hit. So Jordan's rolled only 4 hits out of the 8. Now Jordan needs to wound. Now with the combi weapon, it says anti-infantry. This is another universal special rule. Anytime you see an anti then keyword, it only requires you to roll the dice next to where it says anti-infantry. So in this case, a 4+. And what this does is it turns anything that is a 4 into a 6. And when a 6 is rolled, either naturally or through having the anti-word, now means this is a critical wound roll. And a critical wound roll will now, because it has the devastating keyword on these combi weapons specifically, turn all of this damage straight into something we call mortal wounds. Now mortal wounds, there is no save against. No normal armor save, no invulnerable save. The only thing you could do is maybe use something like a feel no pain if you could shrug off that damage. In this case, Michael doesn't have any of those rules, so therefore Michael needs to allocate 3 of the damage, because each of those damage that of the weapon, which is 1, is now transferred into 1 mortal wound. One of those wounds is going to kill the remaining model on a wound, and then the other 2 mortals are then going to carry over to the next model. And mortal wounds always carry over regardless of the damage inflicted. Next up is the Ballistus Dreadnought, and the Ballistus Dreadnought is going to look at the Screamer Killer, get it in its sights, and hopefully do as much damage as we possibly can. So the Ballistus Dreadnought has a really cool inbuilt rule that allows it to actually re-roll its hit rolls, so if you miss, you get another opportunity to re-roll some of those dice to convert them into hits. Now, you can only do this with the Dreadnought if the target unit is not under half strength, the Screamer Killer is completely fresh, so this rule will be in play. So we're going to kick off first of all with the 2 las cannon shots. So we get 2 shots from the las cannons, we need 3s to hit. We have 2 successful hits. Now, if Jordan would have rolled a 2, which would have failed, Jordan, because of this rule, could have picked up the 2 and then re-rolled it and hoped for another success. But as we roll 2 3s, we've got 2 successes. Now this is strength 12, this is more than the toughness of the Screamer Killer, which is only toughness 9, which means we need 3s to wound. So we've got 2 successful wounds. The armor penetration is -3, so Michael has a 2+ save, which means he's going to need to roll a 5 because it's going to be modified by 3 in order to get there. Now Michael's unfortunately failed both of those saves. He can at this time use a CP reroll.
His face though, bro. His face though.
Because it's going to be modified by 3 in order to get there. Now Michael's
Oh, bro, that face though. He was like, oh, well, that just happened. Oh my gosh, that was so good, man. Definitely gonna watch the rest of this, but yeah. Give me a second, everyone. I will be right back, okay? Give me like won't be too long. Oh, all right, ladies and gentlemen, video. Oh.
Unfortunately failed both of those saves. He can at this time use a CP reroll if he chooses to maybe reroll one of the dice, or he could save it. And this is using one of his precious command points. I think he's going to go for it. So he's going to use one of those 2 CPs to re-roll one of those unsuccessfuls and try and hope for a 5. So Michael has been successful. He's rolled a 6, which means only one of these las cannons has penetrated the Screamer Killer. Now we need to determine the damage, and it says D6. So this means, again, like we saw with the blast weapons, Jordan now needs to roll 1 dice, and this is exactly how much damage it's going to do plus 1, because it says D6 plus 1. So the Screamer Killer has just taken a massive 7 wounds out of its starting 10. Next up, we've got a rocket launcher. Now the rocket launcher also gets 2 shots, hits on 3s. We've got 2 hits. It's strength 10 into toughness 9, which means we need 3s to wound. We've got 2 wounds here, but the armor penetration is -2. So Michael's going to need 4s in order to stay alive. We've got 1's fail, so that means there is a chance the Screamer Killer could go down to the Ballistic Dreadnought. So Jordan needs to roll a d6 in order to determine the damage, and he's only rolled a 1, which means the Screamer Killer is going to be alive with 2 wounds left. We concluded the Storm Bolters, and nothing happened, because what could you expect from a strength 4 weapon into a toughness with a 2-up save? It's not happening. Next up, we've got the Infernus Marines. Now, the Infernus Marines cannot shoot, and the reason why they cannot shoot is because they made that fallback move, and that does prevent them this turn from shooting. So that concludes the shooting phase. We're now going to move on to the charge phase, but it doesn't look like Jordan wants to make any charges because his units are built for shooting rather than combat, so he's going to stay outside of combat this turn. So we're going to skip the charge phase, we're going to skip the combat phase, and we're going to go straight to Michael's turn 2. It's battle round 2, and we once again start with Michael. So both players once again get a command point, taking Jordan up to 3 and Michael up to 2, because he spent one earlier on that command point reroll. So now Michael needs to check for battle shock, and the only unit that is under its half strength is the Screamer Killer. So Michael needs to roll 2 dice and roll equal to or over its leadership. Michael's rolled a 7, which is under the 8 needed, so that is a fail, which means his objective control is now 0, and that is no good for holding the middle objective. But there is a stratagem Michael can use, and that stratagem is called Insane Bravery. It's 1 CP, and basically this allows Michael to ignore that result and remain unharmed from battle shock. So I think it's probably a good idea Michael does that, because it would allow Michael to score some points as he goes into his turn 2, giving the Tyranids a lead in this game. That does mean at the end of the command phase, Michael will score the 5 points for the take and hold mission, because he is the only person with OC, or should I say Michael's OC is greater than Jordan's in the middle, and objective range is 3 inches. So what you need to do is check how many units are within 3 inches of any part of that objective. It is only Michael's, and therefore Michael will get those all-important 5 points. Now we head on to the movement phase for the Tyranids. So Michael's going to make a normal move with the Leapers, getting to the other side of the Dreadnought. The Barbed Gaunts have decided to remain stationary because they're already in range, and they have the heavy keyword, which we're going to cover later, but that's going to actually improve Michael's accuracy when it comes to shooting. The Screamer Killer is making a normal move over the objective and then getting nice and close to those Infernus Marines, allowing a charge later on in the turn. And now Michael's making a normal move with those Gaunts, getting them onto the objective and putting more OC on that objective to try and hold that from Jordan as we go into Jordan's next turn. Now Michael's finished that move with the Gaunts. However, there is a stratagem, a reactive stratagem that Jordan can play called Overwatch. This is an incredibly powerful stratagem that basically allows Jordan to shoot any unit in his army within 24 inches of that unit that either starts a move or ends a move. Now this stratagem can only be played once per turn, which means Jordan's going to use it now and hopefully flamethrow some of those Gaunts down as they move into that objective. So with Overwatch, you normally can only hit on a 6. Which means you're very unlikely to actually hit regardless of how many shots you have. However, these flamethrowers have the torrent keyword, and this torrent keyword means that once you've determined how many shots you get, you don't need to roll to hit, so they automatically hit, meaning when you combine torrent and Overwatch together, it's incredibly powerful. So Jordan has 4 models within range of its gun, which is 12. Within 12 of this gaunt unit here, so we need to determine the amount of shots. He's got 14 shots. That also means 14 hits because he doesn't need to roll to hit. Jordan's strength is 5 and Michael's toughness is 3, so he needs 3 to wound. We remove all the 1s and 2s. Now Michael is on terrain, and any models that are wholly on the terrain feature, so on the footprint, would normally get +1 to their saving throw because they're receiving the benefits of cover. However, Jordan has the ignores cover keyword, so there is no terrain benefit whatsoever, so Michael is just on his armor save. Michael's passed 5 and failed 6. Each of these are 1 damage each on those 1 wound gaunts, so that does mean 6 gaunts have just been absolutely torched. Yeah, ready, let's do it. Now the Overwatch has been completed, the Tyranid Prime can now make its move, moving 12 inches, and it can fly over or through its own units. Now there's one more stratagem that I know Jordan wants to play, and it's called Rapid Ingress. Those Terminators that were in Deep Strike can spend 1 command point to now enter the battlefield actually in Michael's turn. Normally they would come into Deep Strike in Jordan's turn, but this allows him to skip a stage and actually come in right now at the end of Michael's movement phase. So Jordan can set this unit of Terminators up anywhere on the table, providing that they are over 9 inches away from any enemy model. So at the start of the shooting phase, we're going to kick off with the barbed gaunts. They only have 24-inch range, which is why it's incredibly important for Michael at this time to shoot them first. Because if he was to shoot another unit and take some of them out of range, they wouldn't no longer be able to shoot. And if you want more great tactics like this, then consider following Vanguard Tactics. So the barbed gaunts, they get those D6 shots each, and remember they're blast, but the unit is under 5, so no blast benefit, no extra shots. He's only going to get what Michael can roll. Michael's got 17 hits, but this weapon has the heavy keyword, and if you have the heavy keyword and remain stationary, you get +1 to the hit roll. So normally he would need 4s, but any 3s, we're going to add 1 to it, and they're going to become successes. So we've got 13 hits, they're strength 5, toughness 4, so we need 3s to wound. So we remove all the 1s and 2s. Jordan needs to make his 3+ save. Jordan's failed 3. These are all single damage each. So one of them, it will pip off the last wound on the wounded model, and then the 2 more damage will go through and kill 1 more. So that is a total of 2 Sternguard veterans killed. The next up is the Screamer Killer, and he's also going to target the Sternguard veterans. It gets D6 plus 3 shots. We've got a total of 7 shots here. We hit on 4s, remove all the fails. Now this is strength 8. Because that is double the toughness of Jordan's Marines, he's only going to need 2s to wound. We've got 3 successes. So the armor penetration is -2. So that would normally mean Jordan needs 5s in order to be successful. However, because his models are wholly on the terrain feature and there is some AP to this value, that means we are going to get the benefits of cover. The AP value on this is -2. However, Jordan is in cover, so we'll get a +1 to his saving throw. So therefore it would normally be a 5 because of the -2, but we get +1 to that, bringing it back down to a 4+. Jordan has failed 2, these are 1 damage each, and that's going to kill 1 more Sternguard. Jordan had to take that battle shock check because of the rules and was able to successfully pass that one. Now we've only got 1 unit left to shoot, and that is these Termagants. They've already lost 6 models, and they've got 1 shot each going in that remaining Sternguard, so it's 14 shots hitting on 4s. Jordan's got a 3+ save, let's hope he passes some. He has failed 2, so that means the remaining Sternguard is dead. That that concludes the shooting phase. Now it is onto the charge phase. Now this would be an ideal time to use the Overwatch stratagem because you could also use that in the charge phase. However, it is only once per turn and Jordan's already used it. So it's on to Michael can charge with free reign knowing that there's no more Overwatch. So again, he cannot charge if he's already in combat, he can't charge any units that are outside of 12 inches, and he can't charge any units that advance this turn. So Michael's first of all going to charge with the Leapers into the Dreadnought. He's obviously made it, he's rolled an 8, and because he can end 8 inches in base to base, he...
Okay, I think I'm getting it. So, what was it, 5 phases, right? So you have one phase for position, right? One for the range, charge, then it goes over again, range, charge again. I'm trying to keep up. I need a book in front of me. That'll probably help me out a lot.
Absolutely has to do that. Next up is the Screamer Killer. He's rolled a 3, and that is just enough to get him within engagement range and base to base of those Infernus Marines, and then he's finally got the Tyrannid Prime. He's rolled a 6, again allowing him to end base to base contact with these Infernus Marines. And that concludes the charge phase. It's finally time for the Screamer Killer to see how ferocious he can actually be in combat. Now the Screamer Killer has 10 attacks. He's looking for 3s to hit, so we're going to remove all the fails. So that's 3 are going to fail. We're then strength 10, so we need 2s to wound here. We've got 6 saving throws to make. Now this is -2 AP. There is no cover because you do not get cover in combat, which means Jordan does need a 5+ in order to save his models. In every single fail, we'll kill an Infernus Marine because it's flat damage 3. He has failed 5. He's actually failed all 6, which means the entire unit is obliterated from the face of the planet. We've concluded the attacks on the Screamer Killer. The models have been removed, which now allows Michael to consolidate 3 inches if he can get within engagement range, and remember that's 1 inch. Now Michael's Screamer Killer was within 4 inches of the Dreadnought, which allows him to move 3 and get within that ever important engagement range. So this does mean the Dreadnought could attack and maybe kill that Screamer Killer if he's lucky, and if not, then the Screamer Killer is going to destroy that Dreadnought next turn. Now next up is the Tyrannid Prime. So the Tyrannid Prime is over 4 inches away from the Dreadnought, which means it cannot pile in to get an engagement range. So the only thing left it can do is consolidate towards the closest objective if and only if it's within 6 inches, because you can consolidate 3 inches and then you need to end within 3 inches of that objective marker range. So it can move back a little bit to claim this objective in the middle. We concluded the Leapers off camera, and as you can probably imagine, did absolutely nothing to a Dreadnought with that 2-up save and only wounding on 5s and 6s. Next up, we're going to go with the Dreadnought. So after all the units have charged, because they get to fight first by charging, that's a benefit from charging, you gain the fight first keyword, so therefore we resolve all the fight firsts. Now, any units that don't have that keyword, such as the Dreadnought, now get to fight, and we would actually alternate. So next up, we've got the Dreadnought. Now, the Dreadnought is going to attack those Leapers. It gets 5 attacks hitting on 3s, but it no longer gets that reroll because it only works with ranged attacks. He's only had 2 successes. He's wounding on 3s because it's strength 7 into toughness 5. That's 1 wound, 0 AP. We're looking for a 4-up. That fails and that kills the model with only 1 wound remaining. So now it's Jordan's turn 2. And it's time for a command point for both players, taking both Jordan and Michael up to 2 CPs to spend on any of those core stratagems. We're also going to see if Jordan needs to take any battle shock. However, Michael didn't just take those units to half strength, he absolutely obliterated them, so there is no battle shock required for Jordan. We're then going to see if Jordan scores any points, and Jordan has 0 models within range of that objective, so Jordan is going to score 0 points on the primary objective. But it's still only early days, and hopefully Jordan can make a comeback in later turns of the game. So now we're on to the movement phase for the Space Marines. Let's see if they can crush the alien scum. So we're going to start with the Dreadnought, and it's already in combat. Now, the Dreadnought has a really cool rule called Big Guns Never Tire. So if it stays in combat, is actually, on the rare occasion, able to shoot because it is a vehicle or a monster and has the big guns never tire keyword. So Jordan's going to remain stationary with the Dreadnought and hopefully just shoot the Screamer Killer into annihilation. But he does have that unit of Terminators left, and they're going to move a flat 5 inches towards either the objective or another unit that they might choose to shoot or charge later on. So to kick off the shooting phase, we're going to start with the Terminators, and Jordan has decided to shoot the barbed gaunts. So these Stormbolters are rapid fire 2. They get 2 shots plus the additional 2, which it says rapid fire 2, giving 4 shots per model for a total of 16 shots. Now the Librarian gives a really cool rule called sustained hits when he's leading the unit, which he is. Now every time Jordan rolls a critical hit roll, which is basically every time you roll a 6, that's going to trigger the sustained rule. Now the sustained hits, for every hit you get, gives you an additional hit. If it, for example, says sustained 1, you get 1 additional hit. If it said sustained 2, you would get 2 additional hits. So Jordan puts 1 more dice in because that counts as 1 extra hit for that 1 roll of a 6. We're now looking at strength 4 into toughness 4, meaning we need 4s on the wound roll. Now Michael has a 4-up save. However, because all the models are getting the benefits of cover and they do not originally have a 3+ save, we add +1 to their saving throw, meaning Michael is looking for 3s in order to be successful. Now the Barbed Gaunt's got 2 wounds each, 4 damage has gone through, so that does take 4 wounds off the unit and therefore kills 2 Barbed Gaunts. Next up is the classic Assault Cannon, one of the most nostalgic weapons in the game. This gets 6 shots. It is hitting on 3s. It's missed 4 times. However, this is a strength 6 weapon, meaning we are looking for 3s to wound, but because we did roll 1 6, that gives you 1 additional hit because of the Librarian. We're looking for 3s. We've got 2 successful wound rolls, but the 6 is a devastating wound because that is a critical wound roll of a 6. That inflicts 1 mortal straight away, no save required, and then Michael has to make 2 more armor saves. He's failed 1, and the mortal wound would then kill 1 more model. So next up is the Librarian. It's going to unleash a smite attack. This is a psychic power, and he's gone to essentially overcharge this attack. It's making it a lot more damaging and a lot more powerful. It's D6 shots. We've got a 3. We roll 3 hit rolls on a 3-up to be successful. We've got 3 successful hits. Now this is strength 6 and toughness 4, so we only need 3s to wound. That is 2 successful wounds. Now each of these are minus 2 AP, but Michael is going to get the benefits of cover. 1 is passed and 1 is failed. This is a D3 damage attack. So a D3, you might be wondering what's that? Well, you roll a D6, and if you roll a 1 or a 2, the result is a 1. If you roll a 3 or a 4, the result is a 2. And if you roll a 5 or a 6, it's going to be a result of a 3. We've got a 3 that does 2 damage, killing a 2 wound model. Now it's time for that hazardous check. In order to do that, any unit that fired a hazardous weapon or psychic ability has to roll a dice. On the result of a 1, either one of the models, if it's a non-vehicle, non-monster, or non-character model, will just be slain, or if it is a character, vehicle, or monster, it will just take 3 wounds. So do not roll a 1, otherwise you could suffer the perils. You've rolled a 3, you've successfully passed your hazardous check, and you are okay to proceed. So next up, we got the Dreadnought to shoot.
I thought he was going to roll a 1 for a second.
All of its shots to try and take down that Screamer Killer. So that's the Stormbolters, the rocket launchers, and the las cannons. Now this is a vehicle, so it does get the rule benefit of big guns never tire, which does allow it to shoot in combat. However, it will suffer a -1 to hit because clearly it's just harder to hit something when they're that close. So Jordan needs to roll 2 shots for those las cannons to see if they can hit, and we're looking for 4s. We no longer get that re-rolls because it's no longer over its half strength. So therefore it's only 1 hit. We're looking for a 3 to wound. We've rolled a 4. So this will successfully wound, but this is AP3, meaning that Michael needs to roll anything but a 5 or a 6. He's rolled a 1. Now, Michael could re-roll this, but with the amount of shots left, it's probably not worth the idea. So this is going to be D6 plus 1 damage. So this literally cannot fail, because even if Jordan rolls a 1, which he rolls a 4, we add +1 to it because of the las cannon rule of D6 plus 1, taking the last 2 wounds off the Screamer Killer. So the Screamer Kill is dead, but however it has a rule called Deadly Demise. Now on a 6+, it essentially explodes or lashes out as it goes down, and it might inflict some mortal wounds. It doesn't, so therefore Jordan is unfortunately got off safe from the Screamer Killers being destroyed. Now the rockets, the Storm Bolters that were also allocated to that Screamer Killer, at this point cannot be allocated anywhere else. So therefore, all those shots are wasted, and we now just need to remove the Screamer Killer. So that concludes the shooting phase, so it's just time for now Jordan to try and make his charge into the Termagant. He's within 7, so that means you need a 6. He's rolled a 9, which allows him to move all of his models, obviously keeping coherency, 9 inches towards the gaunt and getting every model that can into base-to-base contact without ending his move on the objective. So now we're in the combat phase. We start with all the units that have the fight first keyword. So that is any charging units or the leapers. Now, when units have the fight first keyword, they're going to fight at the top level, okay? So they're going to fight before anybody else. And we always start with the non-active player. And the non-active player is Michael. So Michael gets to select his leaper, first of all, to fight into that Dreadnought. We resolved the attacks, and the leaper did absolutely nothing to that Dreadnought with its 2+ save being only -1 AP. So now it's time to see what the Terminators can do in combat. Now, not all models are in base-to-base contact. So that does mean Jordan can make a 3-inch pile-in move to get any models in base-to-base contact. And if they cannot end within 3, what they can do is end within base-to-base contact of another model of its same unit that is also in base-to-base contact. So this Librarian is base-to-base with this Gaunt, and this Terminator is now base-to-base with this guy, which allows him to fight through that model as well. So it essentially allows you to fight in 2 ranks, providing all those models are base-to-base and base-to-base. It's Terminator time, and the Terminators have 4 Power Fists in the squad, and one of the Terminators has a Power Sword. So we're just going to resolve all of the Power Fists first of all. They get 3 attacks each, they hit on 3s. Any 6s explode because of the Librarian, or sustain, so they'll put in 2 additional hits now because we rolled 2 6s. Then we are strength 8 on toughness 3, which means we're needing 2s because we are double the toughness. All of them have been successful, so that will mean each of these, because it's -2 AP, will go straight through the armor of the Termagant and kill a model per one that is successful. So that means 12 Gaunts are now absolutely obliterated. One thing to note here is that the Terminators do have a 2 damage weapon, but damage doesn't carry over. So although the Gaunts only have 1 wound each, the 2 damage just stops at that 1 wound model. It's only mortal wounds where the damage would continue to spill. So it's only 12 models, although it technically would have caused 24 damage in total. Next up is the Sergeant with the Power Sword. It's 4 attacks, hitting on 3s. We have a sustained hit, means that 1 miss basically goes back in. We're looking for 3s to wound, and an AP2 will slay any model because it's only 5-up saves. That kills the rest of the squad, and therefore all those models will be removed. So we've concluded all Terminator's attacks, and the entire unit has been destroyed. That does mean the Librarian will not have anything to attack, because at this point he's not in engagement range of anybody else. So once we've finished the attack sequence for the Terminators, they can consolidate. They can consolidate up to 3 inches, if they so wish, into the closest enemy model. Now they can get within engagement range of the Prime, and it's probably a good idea to do so it can't move away and charge something else. So by tagging it means that it has to stay in combat next turn. So the Terminators have finished their consolidation move, and they are within engagement range of the Tyranid Prime, which does allow it to actually activate, because you can either fight after you've charged, or if you find yourself in engagement range, you can then attack. So in this case, the Tyranid Prime can start to put all of its attacks onto the Terminator unit, or if you've got some command points left, like Michael has, you can do an epic challenge. Now, the epic challenge allows you to target that character model in that unit. So instead of just putting all the attacks on the Terminators, the bodyguards, to soak up those wounds, you can actually directly target that character unit and try and kill the Warlord. So Michael, by spending that 1 CP, gets the precision rule, and that allows him
I
to
hope
do
Michael
this.
wins.
So
I'm not
all
gonna
these
lie.
attacks can now be allocated to the Librarian. He gets 6 attacks. 6, hitting on 2s. Michael's got 6 hits. He's strength 6 into toughness 5, which means he needs 3s to wound. He's got 5 wounds, and these are AP 1 and 2 damage each. This could actually kill the librarian. Let's see what he rolls. Jordan has rolled a 1, a 1, and a 2. But because it's AP 1, this 2 is reduced by 1, meaning that we have now 3 fails. Each of those are 2 damage each. That's 6 total wounds on the character, but he's only got 5, so that means the librarian has been utterly destroyed by that Tyranid Prime. We resolved the Dreadnought's combat, and it didn't do anything to the Leaper either, so that concludes our game for today, and we would normally play this out to a natural conclusion at the end of Battle Round 5, but we want to leave you in suspense and hopefully bring you back to watch some of our more epic 40k battle reports in the future.
Oh my
we play
god.
2,000 points, so much larger games, and really
2,000 points?
all those processes through a little bit of entertainment, but mainly education. Our ethos is all about sportsmanship and...
Did he say 2,000 points? Oh my god, like, that's a lot. But I'll be down to watch it, okay? I'll be down. Yeah, I think I'd be down to watch one of these videos. Yeah, we definitely have to watch more, but I'm gonna give these guys a like. Vanguard Tactic, and I'm actually probably gonna subscribe to them too. There we go. That was. I think tomorrow probably going to get into some Crimson Desert. People have some reviews out. We have to watch my boy. Hold on. Like, I'm dyslexic. I forget stuff a lot. Oh yeah, Horse Gaming. This. There is only war. That looks so dope. Okay, hold on. I'll be right back. Again, sorry. I think after this next video we find or whatever, uh, probably get into some marathon for probably like an hour, maybe hour or two. Life as a trader. This was 2 hours ago. Subscribe 40K. Subscribe 40K. Now let's go ahead and check this out.
The 42nd millennium.
Oops.
The 42nd millennium, the Gothic subsector, the Orcs, a green tide of billions of fangs, axes, and an absolutely unstoppable desire to break everything in sight, have just reduced the Gothic armada to burning scrap. The Admiral's flagship is a drifting inferno. The Inquisitor has barricaded himself in a bunker and is praying. The Administratum, fingers trembling, is drafting urgent requests to higher authorities, who will respond in approximately 500 years. And it is at this moment that both the Admiral and the Inquisitor come crawling, in the most literal sense, to the one man who can change the outcome. They enter the hall. Before them sits a not-so-young man in a chair, regarding them with the expression of someone who has just been interrupted in the middle of something considerably more interesting. Flanking him, a personal guard whose combined firepower rivals a mid-tier Space Marine detachment. Behind him, a fleet of 30 Aberon-class battleships, 500 heavy cruisers, and 1,000 light ones. All of it his personal property. The Inquisitor, apparently failing to manage his nerves, says, "I am going to requisition your resources in the name of the Emperor." The man in the chair says nothing for a moment. Then he stands, and every barrel in the room swings toward the Inquisitor. "You cannot requisition anything from me," he says. "I can kill you right here and right now. After which I will send your mentor flowers and my condolences, and nothing will happen to me for it." The Inquisitor, a man the entire Imperium has learned to fear, goes red, shrinks into himself, and falls silent. Because the man in the chair wasn't bluffing. He could do it. Legally, politically, physically, he absolutely could. This man is a rogue trader of the highest tier, and he is about to dictate terms. To understand who rogue...
This is pretty, it's good. I like the animations with it, but I will say it's just missing something. Like it's quiet. It needs more. Like this is voice, right? And basically like nothing else. Voice with animation. A lot of stuff needs some sound effects, some music, behind it too. But what this guy, he's where I'm at. 1.5K subscribers. But it's not bad. I see a lot of potential in this channel, in this guy.
Traders are, you need to go back to the very beginning, to the era of the Great Crusade, when the Emperor still personally took to the battlefield and had a habit of conquering entire civilizations before breakfast. In those days, space was a wild place. Humanity had scattered across the galaxy during the dark age of technology, and over millennia of isolation, many worlds had developed their own fleets, armies, and ambitions. Independent traders and warlords roamed the stars. People who answered to no one, dealt with whoever they liked, including Xenos, and generally felt pretty good about their situation. When the Crusades' front line rolled over them, the Emperor gave them a simple choice. You're with us, or you're not around anymore. Most chose wisely. But the problem was that some of these independent operators were monstrously powerful. They had fleets, armies, financial networks, intelligence infrastructures, and centuries of connections spanning the galaxy. Simply folding them into the Imperium as ordinary subjects would either provoke rebellion or waste an invaluable resource. So the Emperor did what he did best. He offered a deal. The terms went something like this. You take your best warships, refit them for expeditionary purposes, go wherever we tell you, and wherever we don't, that's fine too. Trade with whoever you want, build whatever you like, and generally live as you see fit. In return, you formally acknowledge the Imperium's sovereignty, pay your tithe, and serve as the vanguard of exploration and expansion in places where regular forces can't reach. We give you a document with our signature. The document says you can do almost anything. Are you in? They agreed, and they were right to do so. But here is where it gets interesting. Among those who submitted were the Chartists, the most powerful trading clans, with enormous fleets of cargo vessels. For them, the Emperor devised a separate fate. Keep your freight.
So, rogue traders. Okay, so I didn't know much about them. Okay. So I just thought everyone was part of the emperor, like empire and stuff. But okay, I learned something new today. See, this is why anyone can teach you something new. You just don't know. Gotta talk to him, watch a video. You never know, man. This person has taught me something new.
Handle the Imperium's internal logistics, and in return, receive a staggering percentage of all trade flowing through your lanes. The Chartists ran the numbers, liked what they saw, and agreed. The split happened naturally. Some became the nerves and veins of the Imperium's commercial system. Others became its eyes in the dark beyond known space. Millennia passed. By the 42nd millennium, no rogue trader truly remembers that their ancestors and the Chartists were once one and the same. Those who do remember are only the most ancient and aristocratic of houses. The connection has thinned like a thread stretched across the entire galaxy. But somewhere in geosynchronous orbit above Terra, there still hangs a colossal station bastion. A place where Chartists converge from every corner of the Imperium. From the surface of Terra, it looks like a slowly crawling star. But step inside, and you would find a megastructure vast enough to give even Imperial phalanxes pause. It is their home. It is their memory. The entire power of a rogue trader rests on a single document. The Warrant of Trade. A sheet of parchment, or in older versions, some specially preserved substance that is itself 10,000 years old, bearing a seal and a signature. Sounds modest, but as always, the devil is in the details, because the signature on the oldest warrants is the signature of the Emperor himself, written in his blood, personally. Consider what that means in a universe where the Emperor is literally a god, sustained by a colossal life support machine on the Golden Throne, whose psychic emanation maintains the Astronomicon, the beacon without which the entire Imperial warp fleet goes blind and is lost to chaos. For the average mortal of the 42nd millennium, a warrant signed in the Emperor's blood is like carrying a personal note from God in your pocket, notarized, with apostille. Not all warrants are equal. There is an entire hierarchy of these documents, and the difference between them is roughly the difference between a nuclear bomb and a slingshot. At the top sits the warrant signed.
What? Okay, how do you tell the difference? I guess what's written on it, that's how you tell the difference? But that's wild.
Roughly the difference between a nuclear bomb and a slingshot. At the top sits the warrant signed personally by the Emperor during the Great Crusade. Slightly over 1,000 of these survive. The holder of such a document stands in the imperial hierarchy above the Administratum, above most of the High Lords of Terra, and is formally subordinate only to the Regent himself, Robute Gilliman, the one returned Primarch. Literally. With such a warrant, you could arrive on an Eldar Craftworld ship and sail straight for Terra, and legally, no one could touch you. One step below sit warrants signed by Primarchs. There is an interesting wrinkle here. A Primarch is, by canon, greater than any mortal institution, but he is still not the Emperor. So these warrants are slightly less absolute, though they still confer enormous authority. And given that Guilliman, upon his return, began issuing new warrants, the market has seen a modest uptick in supply. Below that come warrants ratified by the Administratum and the High Lords of Terra, already not the direct word of the Emperor, a bureaucratic substitute. Functional, but with caveats. And finally, letters of marque. This is a separate conversation, one deserving its own paragraph of gleeful mockery. A letter of marque is issued by minor administratum clerks and can be so restricted that it only permits trade within a single subsector and only in general goods, meaning even bulk ore doesn't qualify. In practice, it is a license to be a slightly more legitimate street vendor. And unlike real warrants, letters of marque are generally not hereditary.
Okay.
When the holder dies, the document expires, and heirs must file a new application. Given the speed of imperial bureaucracy, this means roughly never. The warrant as a political bribe. Here, it is worth mentioning one of the most elegant uses of the warrant that rarely gets discussed. Some powerful lords of the Administratum have developed a refined method for disposing of political rivals. If your opponent is too powerful for a direct confrontation and too clever to be caught by a crude provocation, give him a warrant of trade. It sounds like generosity. In practice, it is an exquisitely wrapped exile. Refusing a warrant is impossible. It would be an insult to the Emperor. Accepting it means being honorably removed from imperial politics and sent to the stars. Your enemy sails away, literally on his own battleship, with a mountain of gold and dominion over several worlds. He is rich, powerful, and completely out of the game. Brilliant. Technically, every holder of a valid warrant is called a rogue trader. This is roughly the same as saying that both a man with one stale biscuit in his pocket and Elon Musk are equally people. Technically correct. Practically, no. Rogue traders are divided informally into three categories, which they themselves call tiers or hands. The lower tier. You have a warrant. You have almost nothing else. No protectorate, no fleet, no established reputation. But you do have the document, and that alone is already extraordinary. How did you even get here? This is where the lore delivers one of its favorite absurdist plot twists. Among lower tier warrant holders, there are many who received theirs entirely by accident, through a diluted bloodline vanishing into the mists of ages. Picture this. Some rogue trader 1500 years ago flew into an industrial world, met a woman by the factory gates on her first day of work, spent the night, and flew away. A child was born. It grew up. It had its own children, and so on, generation after generation, until the bloodline became so diluted that no one remembered it at all. But the Administratum remembers. 15 centuries later, its slow gears finally complete a genealogical verification, and some factory worker receives a notice informing them that they are the lawful heir to a warrant of trade. The person is stunned. The person takes out a loan. From shadow lords or legitimate banks doesn't really matter. The person buys a ship, and that's it. They are now a rogue trader. What happens next, nobody knows. They might die on their first raid. In 100 years, their house might pass into legend. That is the lower tier, a starting point where the only asset is a piece of paper and desperate determination. The middle tier. This is where the real game begins. A middle tier trader has a protectorate, several worlds under personal governance, a fleet, an army, enough resources to look the Adeptus Mechanicus in the eye rather than up at them. At this level, the rogue trader begins to be genuinely inconvenient for every imperial institution around them. An inquisitor can still try to apply pressure, but risks getting pushed back. The Mechanicus wants a discovered artifact, but the trader is strong enough to make a military conflict too costly. Real politics begin here. Not do what I say, but let's negotiate because we both stand to gain. There are several documented cases of middle-tier traders being targeted for physical elimination because legal pressure had ceased to work. It required space marines with substantial Imperial Navy support, and even then, it didn't always end in success. The upper tier. There are few of them, perhaps 100 across the entire Imperium, but each one is a civilization unto itself. Upper tier traders control hundreds of worlds. Their fleets are comparable to those of entire segmentums. They maintain their own pocket empires, complete with taxation, law, planetary governors, and all the trappings of imperial.
Okay, so what I'm getting at, lower tier is basically, well, you're not, you're lower class, you know, you're working, you're surviving, but that's really all you're doing. Basically, like a lot of people here, U.S., you know, middle class. I mean, like then the mid tier, basically like middle to upper class. Like, okay, then the top guys are like the rich, the people with, you know, the millionaires and stuff. Okay, and probably the billionaires too. So basically, a lot of us, we're probably like lower class, like the low tier, like we're down here but we don't need a sheet of paper. You know, we don't have to get a call and get a paper to start off anywhere. Luckily, in our world, you know, real life, you know, I mean, if you just try hard enough, you don't need a piece of paper. I mean, you just try hard enough, you can get somewhere, and get up to the high classes and stuff. So I'm kind of correlating this with like real life and stuff, and I see some
governance, except these governors answer not to Terra, but to their master. The wealth of some houses exceeds the combined gross output of a dozen imperial worlds. This is not hyperbole, it is the literal arithmetic recorded in imperial chronicles. It was to one of these that the Admiral and the Inquisitor came in our opening scene. The outcome was instructive. The traitor demanded that his protectorate be exempted from tithe for 800 years, a voucher for emergency military and logistical support valid for 5,000 years, and permanent first priority status for all house affairs. They hesitated. He raised the bid to 1,000 years. They hesitated again, by which point the orcs had begun reaching his own borders. He raised the bid once more. They eventually settled on 900 years, after which the rogue traitor stood up, returned to his chair, and his fleet annihilated the orcs completely. The force he fielded outclassed the Gothic armada in every measurable dimension. He had simply been waiting for the right moment to sell his help at maximum price. The question that torments every newcomer to the lore: if a rogue traitor is so all-powerful, what actually constrains them? The answer is simple and paradoxical all at once. By the letter of the law, almost nothing. The warrant was granted by the Emperor. It can only be revoked by the one who issued it, or by someone standing above them. For most warrants, the only institution empowered to do this is the High Lords of Terra. Formally, the chain of authority looks like this. At the top are the Custodes and Guilliman, below them are the Lords of Terra, and somewhere at their level float the upper tier rogue traders, alongside chapter masters of Space Marine chapters and Inquisitors. But rogue traders have their privileges written in ink on parchment. The Inquisition doesn't. If you dig into the history of the Inquisition, itself a rabbit hole that leads to some deeply surprising conclusions, you discover that at their origin, they were all chroniclers. Simply very stern chroniclers with broad authority. Their power rests on tradition, fear, and unspoken consensus. A rogue trader with an original warrant has something considerably more solid: a legal document consecrated by the religious authority of the God Emperor himself. Which is why the most popular joke among lore enthusiasts goes like this: an Inquisitor stops a rogue trader and demands to see his papers. The traitor produces his warrant, signed in the Emperor's blood, then asks, "Now show me your document of equivalent weight." The Inquisitor says nothing, because he has no such document. The only legal ground for revoking a warrant is a charge of high heresy. And even then, the authority rests exclusively with the High Lords. For a middle or upper tier traitor, any other attempt to seize the document is grounds for starting a war, one the Imperium is not guaranteed to win. The situation with the Adeptus Mechanicus deserves separate mention. The trade patent grants the right to claim anything discovered as one's own property. The Mechanicus is an organization for which any technology from the dark age of technology is a sacred relic to be immediately confiscated in the name of the Omnissiah. A collision of interests is inevitable. It usually goes like this. A rogue trader finds something technologically extraordinary, say a functioning artifact from the Dark Age. The Mechanicus arrives and says, "Hand it over." The trader says, "No." The Mechanicus says, "Please hand it over." The trader says, "No," again. And now the bidding begins, because simply taking it by force isn't an option. The trader is strong enough that open conflict would cost too much. So the Mechanicus starts offering, and we are talking about offers that are difficult to refuse in the most literal sense. There are stories of cases where a single lucky artifact earned the Finder Fleet service contracts for 1,000 years, a personal Grand Magos on permanent retainer, and a suite of additional privileges so staggering that the trader ultimately agreed, simply because it felt rude to keep negotiating. To understand how an ordinary Imperial citizen views a rogue trader, you first need to understand what the life of an ordinary Imperial citizen actually looks like. The majority of people in the 42nd millennium never leave the planet of their birth. Many, particularly the workers of hive cities, have never seen the sky, spending their entire lives several kilometers underground in hot, thundering manufactorums. They work, reproduce, and die. They know about Space Marines only from church.
Okay, it's not that bad in real life. It's maybe for some people it is, but I don't know. Let me know, because it's not that bad. We can still go outside and see the sky. Well, I'm guessing most of us. There probably are some people out there who are working in some caves and stuff, and we'll never get to see the sky. But that's them. Let's keep watching.
Frescoes, and believe them to be literal angels, symbolic figures meant to inspire the faithful. Wars in other systems? Nothing. Xenos? Heard something. Best not to think about it. And then a rogue trader arrives. A human being who has seen Xenos, who has traded with the Eldar, who has been in the warp and returned, who commands a ship the size of a small city, who personally knows a Primarch, if the house is ancient enough, who has encountered beings whose very existence the average mortal has never suspected. To the ordinary Imperial citizen, a rogue trader is a numinous entity, something between a saint, a demiurge, and a rock star, on par with the Astartes. They are venerated. They are feared. Their presence reshapes the politics of entire star systems. Politically, everyone wants to be their friend. Every noble house dreams of marrying into a rogue trader family because it represents a chance, several generations down the line, to try and obtain a warrant of their own. The mechanism exists. Through the administratum, given confirmed blood ties to an active trader. After that, everything depends on how patient you are. The administratum measures urgency in centuries. The application will be reviewed, eventually. Your grandchildren may live to see the response, or their grandchildren. The Imperium does not rush, because the Imperium has been standing for 10,000 years and intends to stand for 10,000 more. History records more than a few rogue traders whose names are worth knowing, if only to grasp the sheer range this particular profession encompasses. The Coronis Expanse, the frontier that traders built. The Coronis Expanse, one of the few regions in rogue trader lore that is mapped out in genuine detail, sits on the edge of the galaxy and was opened up almost entirely through the efforts of trader expeditions. 3 major houses operate there: Winterscale, Bastal Horda, and Von Valancius, each with its own character, its own allies, its own secrets, and its own long-running scores with the others. They are not simply trade partners. They are competing microstates that sometimes cooperate, sometimes go to war, and always ensure that none of them grows too powerful. Jan von Jastebal, a cautionary tale. Not every rogue trader is a success story. Jan von Jastebal entered the Chronicles as a textbook example of decline. Beginning with entirely legitimate commerce, he gradually deteriorated into outright piracy, plundering every world he encountered regardless of its imperial status or loyalty. His end was predictable, but took considerably longer than it should have, precisely because the warrant granted him legal cover far beyond the point where any reasonable institution would have acted. The casino story. Bankruptcy as career launchpad. One of the most absurd and yet entirely plausible episodes in Rogue Trader history is the story of an unnamed heir who managed to gamble away a fortune that seemed, by any reasonable standard, impossible to exhaust. Several generations of ancestors had accumulated wealth on the scale of several planetary economies, and he lost it all at the tables. It appeared to be the end, but he had the warrant. And the warrant retained its value even with nothing behind it. He went to the city's shadow lords, explained the situation, offered a cut of future revenues, and walked out with a ship on credit, then flew away without saying goodbye. A few years later, he returned with money, paid every debt with interest, and resumed trading. This is not an exception. It is an illustration of the fact that the warrant itself is hard currency, even in the complete absence of any other asset. A rogue trader's power doesn't rest on paper alone. Behind it stands a concrete military and logistical infrastructure, without which a warrant is merely an expensive picture frame on the wall. The fleet is the heart of everything. Rogue traders have access to vessels all the way up to grand cruisers and even battleships. Some of these ships are older than most imperial institutions. They remember the Great Crusade and bear on their hulls the scars of battles that historians can no longer even date. Among them are non-standard hull classes. For instance, the Hazaroth-class privateer, which you won't find in any standard naval registry. Navigators are the indispensable symbiont. These are mutants with a third eye, capable of charting a course through the warp, the psychic ocean that permeates the universe and serves as the only means of rapid interstellar travel. Without a navigator, any ship in the warp is blind and helpless. The navigator houses, the Navis Nobilite, actively invest in rogue trader expeditions because new routes mean new data for their astrographic charts. It is a mutually beneficial symbiosis. Traders need navigators, and navigators need traders to extend the reach of their knowledge. Astropaths are the distant eyes and ears. These are psychers specially trained for telepathic communication through the warp. Without them, a ship in deep space is a completely isolated system, unable to send or receive information of any kind. A serious trading house maintains its own choir of astropaths, providing communication links between all parts of its pocket empire. Behind the facade of power of every trading house, there is its own small war. The warrant is inherited, which means there is always one true holder of the document, a king or queen in the most literal sense, and an enormous number of relatives, every single one of whom wants to be next. Sons, daughters, cousins, distant relatives through 8 degrees of separation, illegitimate children from chance encounters on industrial worlds. All of them are potential heirs, and all of them are potential threats. The struggle for succession in trading houses is waged by every means available. Political alliances, marriages of convenience, trade agreements, conspicuous demonstrations of loyalty, secret negotiations with rivals, and, when all else fails, a quiet poisoning at the family dinner. The ferocity of these internal wars is directly proportional to the house's wealth. The more that is at stake, the more ruthless the game. At the same time, such conflicts are kept hidden. Weakness displayed openly will immediately attract rival houses who smell blood. So, externally, a trading house always appears monolithic, while internally, it may resemble a powder keg 1 second before detonation. Age matters enormously. A house tracing its lineage to the first warrants of the Great Crusade is incomparable in accumulated resources and influence to one that received its warrant 200 years ago. This is old money versus new, and the difference here isn't in bank balances, but in networks of alliances, obligations, secrets, and connections built up over millennia.
Look, how the hell do they keep track of all this stuff, especially when it's like 100 years, 1,000 years later? You know, like how can a guy that's at the bottom just get a what's it called now, the paper? Like, is this all logged? Like every person, especially like if you're in the Empire or something, like, you know, once a rogue trader gets, you know, become part of the Empire, they get put in the system. So does that mean, let's say thousands, billions, billions of people are just logged in the system? So at some point, like 1,000 years later, yeah, you can get something handed down to you. I don't know. This is
Behind
a
all
lot of
this grandeur
information.
and power, it's easy to lose sight of the central question. Why does the Imperium tolerate such independent and potentially dangerous players within itself? The answer lies in the nature of the Imperium itself. It is vast, rigid, bureaucratic, and profoundly inflexible. A million worlds bound together not so much by roads as by inertia, tradition, fear, religion, and rules 10,000 years old. There is no room for improvisation in such a system. Regular Imperial forces know how to fight by the manual, trade by regulation, and govern by precedent. But the galaxy has not read these manuals. Beyond the edge of known space, where there are no maps, no fleet, and no certainty that the next star holds life or death, you need a different kind of person. Someone who can make independent decisions, negotiate with Xenos if it's profitable, fight them if it's necessary, and build relationships with civilizations of which Terra has no awareness at all. A regular army is useless here. It has neither the authority, nor the flexibility, nor the motivation. Rogue traders are institutionalized adventure. They are a way to legally embed within a rigid system the element of chaotic freedom that the system itself generates at its fringes. Without them, many of the worlds now part of the Imperium would have remained unknown. Many Xenos races would never have become trade partners, and some threats would simply not have been detected until it was far too late. The best historical analogy is the British and Dutch East India Companies. Private military trade corporations operating under a state mandate, empowered to declare wars, govern colonies, and effectively build independent states under their home nation's flag. The difference is only in scale. There, a few continents. Here, a few hundred star systems. Epilogue. Winners at life. Back to that hall. The Admiral and the Inquisitor stand before the upper-tier rogue trader. The Inquisitor is no longer demanding. He is asking. The Admiral shifts from foot to foot like a scolded child. The trader sits in his chair and regards them with the same expression. A man with more important things to be doing. In this room, there are no equals. One man holds a piece of paper that outweighs every rank, every honor, every insignia in the room. One man can name his price, and it will be accepted. Because the alternative is watching the orcs finish what they started. He negotiates not because he is greedy, he negotiates because he can. Because his entire life and the lives of his ancestors and their ancestors before them, this house has been paying its tithe, mounting expeditions, losing people in the warp, fighting Xenos, discovering worlds, doing all of it at its own expense, without guarantees, without insurance. Now the bill has come due. 900 years without tithe. Deal closed. This is what it means to be a rogue trader. Not just a wealthy adventurer. Not just a lucky captain. This is an institution. A living memory of a contract written at the beginning of time. A person who stands between the rigid order of the Imperium and the chaos filling everything beyond its borders, and somehow manages to make a fortune doing it. The greatest bastards in the galaxy. Winners at life. And if you ever get the chance to be one of them, take it without a second thought.
Okay, that was a good video. I will say that. Taught me a lot about rogue traders. Yes, I've heard of them before, especially like the game and stuff, but I didn't know about the contracts and stuff and all the different kind of contracts, and I didn't know anything about that. So this video, it taught me something. I will give it that. Now, I will say, I understand, right? He has 1.5 thousand subscribers, which that's about where I'm at. So that you can be like, you can't tell him you can't do this or whatever, but I watch a lot of videos, okay? Like, people can judge my videos. It's understandable. I'm probably not the only one you watch, okay. But I will say some things need to be worked on. I feel like a lot of these images are probably AI generated. If you go back, right, it'd be like characters with like 3 hands, 3 arms. Uh, it was one part where the character they were shaking hands like this, like it screamed AI. Then like with the voiceover and stuff, I don't know if it was one person or two people. Sometimes the audio would sound way different. I don't know. I'm not sure. And I don't want to say it's like AI or anything like that. Okay. Hold on. Delete some stuff real quick. Give me a second. Give me a second. I know everything's probably bugging out and stuff. All right. Gotta get rid of some big boys. At some point, I need to get a bigger. I need to get more space. Um, we back? Think. Hold on. I'm gonna give it a second, real quick, and make sure everything is good. Okay. I think we're back. Me. Let's back up. But like I was saying, I feel like a lot of this is kind of like AI generated. I don't know about the voices, but the images are. And I feel like pretty good video. He's very knowledgeable. If he himself or whatever, or even I mean, if he had to, not saying if put it in AI or anything, it is so had to put it in AI. So he's very knowledgeable about Warhammer, no matter what. Okay. Just a little bit more with the videos, sound effects, little music in the background or something. It could be way better. I see a lot of potential. That's all I'm saying. I see a lot of potential. I hoping that images aren't AI. If they are, just work on it a little. Look them over a little bit better. Yeah, I'm gonna I'm gonna give him a like. Okay, can if you want to, and I'm gonna subscribe to him actually. I want to see where he goes. Subscribe 40K. Subscribe. Hope I'm saying that right. Subscribe 40K. But I like the video, so yeah. Okay, now we can actually get into the marathon for a little bit. Gotta do a little bit grinding marathon. I gotta change all this my style. God darn it. Okay. Why, like, this is so loud. All right, marathon time. I'm addicted to this game. Okay, I'm just gonna say it. And a moth in here. Something's flying around my butt. I don't know what it is, chat. Oh. All right. Oh, yeah, I forgot I can do that. I keep forgetting I have that on my Stream Deck. I forgot I can just control a lot of my stuff right here. Oh, okay. So, probably do a couple quests, try to get some stuff done. Or we can try to get more money. We can do Rook to Riches or Rooked or Cooked. Let's go in and do a Rook run. Oh, so they have perimeter duo. They need to add duos to use other maps too. But let's go. Let's go, baby. Fuck it. We're probably not going to do any missions today. I need to get cash. This is what you have to do sometimes as a solo player. It is what it is.
10 minutes remain until force signal recall.
All right, we're on Dire Marsh. First of all, where are we at? Okay, we can go here. All right, so we gotta play a little slower. I mean, I think I heard gunshots northeast. Remember, we have other rooks to watch out for, and okay, that's AI. We're good, we're good. Let's actually try to make it out with some money and material. There's usually nothing down here? I said usually, but I would like to check anyway. Okay, I think we're good. Gotta make some money. That's what Brook runs are all about. Money, baby. Money, money, money. Now, if you play with a team, you don't have to really worry about money like that. But solo players, yeah, we gotta worry about this kind of stuff. I'm gonna go up top here. Really don't want to fight anything. I think I have my ability up, yeah. That's loud. That's loud too. This is what I like to see. Put that on. That. Okay. Grenade. Hey, I'm gonna pop this before I go out here. Has anybody got this? gosh, look at all this. Looking good? I'm gonna drop that, just the green one, worth more. Okay, ooh. I do not have my ability. I got 30 seconds on it. Oop. Yeah. Nice. Nice. Okay.
5 minutes.
Y'all shut the fuck up. I'm trying to make it out alive with money. Oh no. Maybe getting a little too greedy here. Yes, I'll take that. Oh, more of those. Yes. Drop that. I'm out. Catch me if you can, suckers. Pussies. Why is this red? Okay. Okay. Where are we at? That's not good. We should probably head over here because I think the last thing spawns this way. So, yeah. Ooh, juking him. Okay. What's in here? Okay, remember, I'm not the only rook. And there could still be a team. You never know. They might be waiting for the last second. Never know. What is that? Yes.
This is your 3-minute warning. Exfil awaits.
Oh, I could have. Hold on. That. Got a lot of health, which is good. I think we're golden. You never want to celebrate too early. All right. Ooh, I can get that. Got that when we have one. I'm hope I'm right about the spawn. So I remember the spawns on perimeter and an outpost, but I haven't done this map a lot. Nothing yet. Oh, I think this is the real bag. It is. Oh my gosh. Drop that, drop that. Oh.
Connection collapse imminent. Exfil immediately.
Okay. Oh fuck. What else can we drop? We don't need that. Okay, we don't need that. Oh my gosh. Oh fuck. Where's it at? Okay, no, we're good, we're good. The final. This is what being a rook is all about. Okay. I don't trust that bag. Well, hold on. Okay, we gotta go, we gotta go, we gotta go. I'm pushing it, I'm pushing it. Okay, yeah, I was right. Now, hopefully we don't get jumped, or... Oh shit. Are we gonna be able to make it? 140 meters away. Shit. 10 seconds. No, it's right there, and I... No! I got too greedy. I got too greedy. I got too greedy, man. Never get too greedy. All right, okay. The greed got the hold of me. We going again. Man, that was a good run, though. That was a good run. All right, remember, don't get greedy. Here, maybe? I don't have a good weapon this time. The other pistol was way better. I just left over there. Okay. You gotta find spots that people usually fight at. Jesus Christ, I hate those things so much. Okay, we got 2 seconds if we need to pop our ability. Get around. Is there anything in here? Just these guys. Good.
15 minutes until signal.
I do need these. Like the small stuff after a while, like, don't pick up. Guess you really don't need it at some point, but Alright, so we can't go over there. Keep the plant right there. There might be some... I wonder if everybody just like queues into Outpost. That's more of like not an in-game map, but that is where some of the best loot is. You know? And if you're a rook, I'll get a lot out of there. Take that. All right, we gotta go upstairs. I think it's a thing right there. We don't want to make a lot of noise, okay? We don't. Much rather have that. Take the ammo. Now, sometimes a thing spawns up here. It has some pretty good materials in it. It didn't spawn this time. Oh, well, it did. Yeah. Yeah, boy. This is what you want. Drop that. Look at there. We got one of these. Yes, 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 yes. Let me drop that. Drop that. Yeah, I think we're good. Okay. I don't know if this has been lifted already. We can try to go over here. We still got like 10 minutes. Wow. Ooh, I see a thing right there. I'm gonna pop this. Ammo. Cool. We're gonna get out of here.
10 minutes remaining.
Right. We're good. Fucking birds. Realize there's fucking birds. Don't want to walk into that. Is there a team that's slayed out? I hear somebody. Someone's right above me. I'm gonna go this way. Look, I don't know if it's a rook or a player with teammates. He just broke some gold. Just in case I can defend myself. I'm thinking it's only a rook. I only heard one set of footsteps. So. I don't know if he's above me. What's going on out there? We're gonna shut that. That is not a rook. That is not a rook. I want to make it out alive with some money, baby. That's what I'm trying to do. Quarantine lockdown. They looted this place pretty good. See what's in here. See, that's the thing about Rook. Yeah, you do have to play a little bit slower. Take this off. I'm gonna put that on.
Five minutes remain.
I I don't know if they're looking for me or not. Okay, I think we're good. I think we're good. Who would ever look here, okay? Who would ever look here? Shit. Gone. I'm gone. Oh boy. Ooh. Holy crap.
3 minutes. Locate an exfil immediately.
Where's the exfil usually at? Like right here? I wish I knew this exfil a lot better. Come on, we gotta make it out with some cash, baby. We can do this. Okay, yeah, the exfil is usually right here. God darn it. I almost ran into that. Can I get in here? Good. No money. I think right. I get this. I need this. Right here, maybe. Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm not gonna look. People in this game, they shoot rooks on sight most of the time. I think it's no. They shoot rooks on sight. So I'm not gonna take any chances. Just in case. All right.
60 seconds to escape.
If I'm right, the exfil is like right here on me. I could be wrong though. I don't know this map that well. I'm just watching my back. I don't trust people. You never know. Never know. Like I said, right on me, baby. I don't want to go in just yet. Because if those players didn't get out, you're coming over here, right? And if there's another rook, They're coming over here, so I probably want to wait. I can wait, I think, 10 seconds to start it. Right. And we should be good. And we're out, baby. Woo! Okay. One good run. Okay, we made 3,400 off that run. Not bad. All right. 3,400. Go back in. Our marsh. We need to find some fights. Well, not me, but where people fought. Loot some good stuff, man. All right, okay, so this is the last run for Rook Riches, or Rooked or Cooked. Y'all decide the name, okay? Y'all decide the name. I'm not sure. I know Aster Crawls already used that. I actually thought of that name, the Rook to Riches, before. I was watching the stream and he came up with that. I was like so mad. I was like, oh, now people gonna think I stole that. Hey, where are we going? Oh, hey, we probably want to go over here.
Exit.
Okay. Oh no, we can go up here. Their body right here. Oh, fuck. You gotta pop. No. Pop this.
A rival crew has escaped with the anomalous sample.
That's fine. Whoa. A lot of bodies right here. Already got cores. That. We can take that, I guess. Yet. Okay. Thing in here. Good. Oh my gosh. There was a fight over here. I don't trust that bag. Got 8 seconds. got a lot more room now. Okay. See what this last person has. Is that another chest? Oh my gosh, what's that? You need that. Get. Okay, if this isn't a regular bag, could be one of those explosive bags. Should we check it? We only get 3 runs in Rook, Riches, or I'm just gonna call Rooked or Cooked. Am I gonna be cooked? Okay, you never know.
Forced recall in 5 minutes.
Look, you never know. Okay. I do need that. Guess we can take this stuff. I feel like this goes away so quickly. All right. I really don't know what spawns over here. There's a boss up. We still have 3 minutes. In here. Like that. There's the big guy right there. Don't want to disturb them. Excuse me, gentlemen.
This is your 3-minute warning. Exit awaits.
That's a player. Right here. Pretty sure that was a player. But we have to make it over here to Expo. So, not a terrible. I'm not gonna say anything yet. I'm not gonna jinx myself. I'm not gonna jinx myself. As soon as I say something, this raid can turn left real quick. We can do a little bit more looting as long as we're close. No, we don't want to have to run too far. That's the thing. I'm gonna pop this. Okay, that's claymores. A lot of AI around here.
1 minute remains. Exfiltrate now.
Same spot. Let's try to get into our safe place. More. All right, so same plan as last time, and we can make it out safe. That'd be 2 good runs out of 3. And this one's actually a pretty good one. It's better than the last one. I think the first one was my best one, but I didn't make it out. Okay. You have to make these runs count, baby. All right. Remember, we can wait for about 10 seconds. Everyone want to start heading that way? I know we're close. But we mix that exfil with cooked. A little too early. A little too early. Not yet. Not yet. Now. And we should be safe. We should. That's the reason I didn't go in like right away. If I would have went in right away, he would have saw me. He didn't have really much to do, but we made it out. So we had like 3,400 on the last run. We came up with more weapons and stuff this time. Let's see what we this time. Probably not as much. Yeah, we came out. We have a lot of ammo, weapons on this run. So, like blue cores. This was, if you're talking about like equipment, this is better. We had a better run. But if you're talking about money, the last one was better. But yeah. Came out with a blue backpack, a long shot with some mods on it, a blue core, 3 blue implants, 3 weapons that I'm probably gonna get rid of. That's 160. Much. This is a lot right here. But yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Let me know what you want me to call this. I don't want to kind of rip off Astrocross, even though I was thinking of the name before he even said it on stream. But I'm willing to go with like rooked or cooked. Let me know if that sounds good. And if you like the video, give me a like, subscribe. We're gonna have both more videos, and I'll see you next time. I'm out. Woo! Rooked or cooked? I think we didn't get cooked this one. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Get everything set back up. Hold on. We're gonna try to get everything set back like on our regular schedule again. It's been a mess since I was sick, but try to get those videos for next the Warhammer videos for next week. Try to get some marathon videos out and stuff. And yeah, we're gonna get back on schedule. I need to start making shorts. I think I just need to pick a day to actually just knock out shorts. 5 or 6 shorts. Bam. Call it there. But I appreciate everyone coming by. You all are amazing. I appreciate it so much. You don't even know. If you came by, clicked on the live stream on YouTube, Twitch, doesn't matter. I appreciate it so much. I like to say amazing again. But I hope everyone has a good day or night, wherever you're watching me. And like I always like to say before I leave, please, while I'm gone, don't do anything crazy, okay? And I'll see you next time. Peace. I'm out, baby. Woo!